November 7th, 2000. A company worth $300 million dies overnight. Not because of a scandal. Not because of fraud. Not because anyone stole anything. It dies because of a dog bowl. 268 days earlier, this same company went public on the stock market. Champagne corks popped in San Francisco penthouses. A sock puppet rode in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The CEO rang the opening bell at NASDAQ while the world watched. 9 months later, every employee gets fired via conference call. The stock, once worth $11, closes at 22 cents. And the puppet that became more famous than the company itself gets sold at auction like a piece of Hollywood memorabilia. This isn't fiction. This is Pets.com, the company that spent $300 million in venture capital trying to sell dog food on the internet. The company that lost money on every single sale and called it growth. The company that aired a Super Bowl commercial, became a cultural phenomenon, and still collapsed faster than almost any public company in American history. But here's what nobody tells you about Pets.com. It didn't just fail. It cracked open the entire economy and revealed that everything underneath was hollow. And it all started with a man watching his neighbor carry a bag of dog food. Now, the real story begins in late 1998, not with champagne and investors, but with something far more mundane. Greg McLemore is watching his neighbor struggle. She's a veterinarian, which means she knows exactly what her pets need. And what they need is heavy. 40-pound bags of premium dog food, bulk cat litter, cases of canned food. Every 2 weeks, same routine. Load the car at the pet store. Unload at home. Back straining. Arms aching. Greg has what he thinks is a simple revelation. What if the internet could solve this? It's 1998. Amazon has just proven you can sell books online. eBay is proving you can sell everything else. The internet gold rush is exploding, and every entrepreneur in Silicon Valley is looking for the next category to digitize. Greg chooses pets. The logic seems bulletproof. Pet ownership in America is skyrocketing. 62% of households own pets. That's $23 billion in annual spending. Most of it is on recurring purchases, food, litter, supplies. The kind of stuff people buy like clockwork. What if you could capture even 5% of that market online? Greg builds a website, partners with distribution centers, negotiates with suppliers. By February 1999, Pets.com is live, and the money comes pouring in. Hummer Winblad Venture Partners writes a check. Amazon invests $50 million. Other venture firms pile on. Within the first year, Pets.com raises over $80 million in funding. But there's a problem nobody wants to acknowledge. The unit economics don't work. Here's the business model that attracted $82.5 million in venture capital. Buy a 20-pound bag of premium dog food wholesale for $12. Sell it on Pets.com for $15 to undercut Petco and PetSmart. Offer free shipping to compete with other online pet stores sprouting up everywhere. Shipping costs about $8 per bag. So on a $15 sale, Pets.com pays $12 for product and $8 for shipping. That's $20 in costs for a $15 sale. They're losing $5 on every transaction before accounting for warehousing, customer service, website maintenance, or employee salaries. The strategy is called land grab economics. Lose money now to acquire customers. Dominate the market. Raise prices later. Lock in loyal customers who'll keep buying for years. Amazon did it with books. It could work with pet supplies. Except Amazon had something Pets.com didn't. A plan for profitability. Amazon knew it could expand into other categories, build out infrastructure, and eventually achieve economies of scale. Pets.com sells dog food and cat litter. Heavy, low-margin commodities that cost a fortune to ship. But in 1999, nobody cares about profitability. They care about growth. And Pets.com grows fast. By mid-1999, the company has 200 employees. A 250,000 square foot distribution center in Brisbane, California. Partnerships with major suppliers. And most importantly, competition. Petstore.com raises $80 million. Petopia.com raises $87 million. PetSmart.com launches. The race is on, and there's only one way to win. Spend more. Grow faster. Get bigger. So Pets.com does something that, in hindsight, seems insane. They hire an advertising agency and build a mascot. The sock puppet appears in August 1999. It's designed by TBWA/Chiat/Day, the legendary agency behind Apple's 1984 Super Bowl commercial. The puppet is simple, black and white, floppy, with a microphone permanently attached to its mouth. The character is a stroke of accidental genius.
Today I'm talking to some city pets. Ooh, ooh, hey poodles! Did you know that Pets.com delivers food, treats, and toys?
It's funny, memorable, weird enough to stand out in the cluttered landscape of late-90s advertising. The puppet gets its own voice, a deadpan, slightly sarcastic personality that resonates with the emerging internet culture. It appears in TV commercials, print ads, radio spots, and then comes the Super Bowl. January 30th, 2000. Super Bowl 34. The St. Louis Rams versus the Tennessee Titans. Over 130 million viewers. Pets.com spends $1.2 million for a 30-second spot during the third quarter. The commercial is simple. The puppet sits in the back of a taxi, heading to the vet. The tagline, because pets can't drive. It's not clever. It's barely even a complete thought. But it works. The next day, traffic to Pets.com explodes. The puppet becomes a cultural icon overnight. It appears on Good Morning America. Gets profiled in Entertainment Weekly. Rides as a giant balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade alongside Garfield and Snoopy. People magazine interviews the puppet. It sits courtside at Lakers games. Saturday Night Live parodies it. The puppet is everywhere. And 10 days after the Super Bowl, Pets.com goes public. February 10th, 2000. The Nasdaq is at 4,696 points, rocketing toward its all-time peak. .com IPOs are printing money. Companies with no profits and questionable business models are going public at billion-dollar valuations. Pets.com prices its IPO at $11 per share. By the end of the first trading day, the stock hits $14. The company is valued at roughly $290 million. Julie Wainwright, the CEO who took over in September 1999, stands on the floor of Nasdaq and smiles for cameras. Employees celebrate. Investors congratulate themselves. On paper, Greg McLemore, the guy who started this whole thing, is worth millions. But underneath the celebration, the numbers tell a different story. In the first quarter of 2000, Pets.com generates $5.8 million in revenue. They spend $11.8 million on advertising alone. Total operating expenses for the quarter? $21.7 million. They're burning through approximately $147,000 every single day. The company projects they'll reach profitability by 2002 if they can maintain growth, raise additional capital, and achieve the economies of scale they've been promising investors. But in March 2000, something shifts. The bubble begins to crack. March 10th, 2000. The Nasdaq Composite peaks at 5,048.62. It will not reach that number again until 2015. The dot-com bubble doesn't deflate gradually. It implodes. Suddenly, investors start asking the question they should have asked 3 years earlier. When will you be profitable? For years, profitability was considered an old economy concern. The new economy ran on a different fuel: growth, disruption, market share. Profits would come later. But later just became now, and most dot-coms have no answer. One by one, they collapse. March, drcoup.com, the healthcare site, announces massive layoffs. April, MicroStrategy, a business intelligence company, reveals it overstated earnings. Stock drops 62% in a single day. May, the Nasdaq has lost 25% of its value. By summer, the crash is in full swing. Companies that were worth billions are now worth millions, or nothing. IPOs are canceled. Venture capital dries up. And Pets.com is running out of time. The company tries everything. Layoffs. Salary cuts. Reducing the marketing budget. searching desperately for additional investment. But the math is unforgiving. By Q2 2000, Pets.com stock has fallen from $14 to under $2. The company needs at least $20 million to survive the year. In August, Amazon, Pets.com's largest investor and biggest hope, makes an announcement. They will not provide additional funding. The death sentence has been issued. November 6, 2000. Julie Wainwright stands in a conference room and addresses her employees via phone. Effective immediately, Pets.com will cease operations. Silence. 300 people lose their jobs in an instant. No severance packages. No transition period. Just immediate termination. The stock, which opened at $11 per share on February 10th, closes at 22 cents. From IPO to shutdown, 268 days. Pets.com spent $300 million in investor capital. They generated $619,000 in revenue during their final quarter, while spending $147,000 per day just to keep operating. The sock puppet, which cost millions to create and promote, is auctioned off for $125,000 in 2002. A bar and grill company buys it for ironic advertising. The domain Pets.com is sold to PetSmart for $70,000. The warehouses are emptied. The websites go dark. And the company that was supposed to revolutionize pet ownership becomes a punchline. But the real damage is just beginning. Pets.com doesn't just fail. It becomes the symbol of everything wrong with the .com era. Business schools add it to their curriculums as a case study in corporate excess. Forbes calls it one of the greatest business failures in history. The sock puppet appears in documentaries about the bubble with the caption, "The face of financial delusion," and the dominoes keep falling. By the end of 2000, over 200 .com companies have shut down or gone bankrupt. Wevan, the grocery delivery service that raised $800 million, gone. eToys, the online toy retailer, bankrupt. BOO.com, the fashion site that burned through $135 million in 18 months, liquidated. The Nasdaq loses 78% of its value between 2000 and 2002. $5 trillion in market capitalization evaporates. Retirement accounts collapse. Unemployment spikes. The Federal Reserve cuts interest rates 6 times in a single year, trying to stop the bleeding. And then in September 2001, the World Trade Center falls. The economy enters a full recession. The .com crash merges with a global crisis, and the optimism of the late 90s seems like a distant fever dream. At the center of it all, etched into the public consciousness, is a sock puppet that cost $300 million. Here's the twist that nobody saw coming. Pets.com wasn't a bad idea. In 2011, 2 entrepreneurs named Ryan Cohen and Michael Day launch a company called Chewy. The business model? Sell pet supplies online and deliver them to your door. Sound familiar? Chewy does everything Pets.com tried to do, but they do it right. They focus on customer service. They achieve economies of scale. They manage cash flow carefully. They don't blow millions on Super Bowl ads before they've figured out unit economics. In 2017, PetSmart acquires Chewy for $3.35 billion, the largest e-commerce acquisition in history at the time. In 2019, Chewy goes public. Current valuation, over $30 billion. The same business model, the same industry. But one company spent wisely and survived. The other spent recklessly and became a cautionary tale. Julie Wainwright went on to found The Real, a luxury consignment platform that went public in 2019. Greg McLemore disappeared from the public eye entirely. And the sock puppet? It sits in storage somewhere, worth more than the company that created it ever was. Because in the end, Pets.com taught the world a lesson it should never have needed. You can have the best idea, the best advertising, the best timing. You can raise hundreds of millions of dollars and become a household name. But if you lose money on every sale, no amount of marketing can save you. The math always wins, and the clock always runs out.